April 8, 1941. To 35 in the afternoon, the outskirts of Tokyo. A suffocating tension hangs heavy in the humid afternoon air. Every eye is fixed on the far end of the runway at the Nakajima Aircraft Company facility. A Leviathan is slowly taxiing into position to challenge physics. The sheer scale of this machine is absolutely staggering for its time, with a fuselage stretching over 100 feet and a wingspan of nearly 140 feet. Dwarfs the American B-17 Flying Fortress, the reigning giant of the skies, as four massive engines roar to life attempting to push tons of steel. As it pushes aluminum into the overcast Japanese sky, the men standing by the tarmac are not ordinary spectators. They are the elite engineers of the Imperial Navy. Their faces betray a mix of intense anticipation and a gnawing, desperate anxiety. For this single moment, they have labored in secrecy for 18 grueling months. The government authorized the expenditure of $950,000, an astronomical sum in the 1930s, to purchase a single prototype aircraft. They bought it from a potential enemy, the United States. To cover their tracks, they even staged a fake plane crash to deceive the entire world. Now, as the wheels of the vessel of Japan's transoceanic bombing dreams finally leave the ground, the celebration is mute. Inside the cockpit, the pilot fights. The test pilot fights a losing battle as he pushes the throttles forward. The expected surge of power is absent in the climb, is lethargic and terrifyingly slow. The engines scream under the strain and the control stick feels like stirring a vat of wet concrete. It is sluggish, heavy, and completely unresponsive. Something is wrong. Or to be more precise, the entire endeavor was doomed from its inception. These Japanese engineers believed they had pulled off a heist. They thought they stole the crown jewel of American aviation technology to reverse engineer a strategic bomber capable of striking the American mainland. But the brutal reality was far more ironic. What they had painstakingly acquired was not a super weapon, but the most expensive high-profile failure. It was the worst failure in American commercial aviation history. This is the story of how Japan bought a rejected airliner and built the G5N Shinzan. It is a tale not just of war, but of industrial lesbian, a engineering hubris, and the dangerous assumption that copying a design is the same as understanding it. To understand the roots of this disaster, we must turn the clock back 6 years to the golden age of American commercial flight. The year is 1935. It is a romantic era where humanity is just beginning to truly conquer the skies. American airlines expand routes aggressively, passengers gain confidence, and manufacturers are locked in a silent war for dominance. Amidst this fervor, William Patterson, president of United Airlines, approaches Douglas with a vision sounding more like science fiction. Patterson does not want a mere airplane, he wants a luxury liner of the clouds. His requirements are frankly outrageous. He demands a 4-engine aircraft capable of crossing the entire North American continent without stopping for fuel. It must carry 40 passengers in luxury or convert into a flying hotel with 30 sleeper berths for overnight flights. He insists on a pressurized cabin, allowing guests to dine elegantly in the stratosphere far above the turbulence of lower atmosphere. He wants air conditioning, hot and cold water, and an onboard telephone. Patterson is describing the absolute pinnacle of human technology. It is a massive gamble, as no airline has ever successfully operated a 4-engine land plane for passenger service. Despite deep reservations, Douglas accepts the challenge, lured by a collaborative funding model involving 5 major airlines. Each contributes $100,000 to a $500,000 fund a massive war chest during the Great Depression. Douglas assembles a dream team led by the legendary engineer Arthur Raymond, and work begins on the project codenamed DC-4. The engineers realize they are building a Tower of Babel. Meeting these demands means solving engineering puzzles never before attempted. How do you build a fuselage massive enough for sleeper berths yet strong enough for pressurization? How do you design landing gear that can support a 60,000-pound beast. How do you route complex hydraulics and an electrical system powerful enough to light a small town? The team spends 2 years, drafts 8,100 drawings, and drives 1.3 million rivets. The development consumes 500,000 man-hours. When the DC-4E is rolled out, it is a masterpiece. It is the first large airliner to feature tricycle landing gear, meaning it's level on the ground. Passengers no longer have to climb uphill to reach their seats, a change that revolutionizes comfort. Its wings are colossal, spanning 138 feet, and its tail features a unique triple fin design. Inside the DC-4E is breathtaking, featuring armchairs that resemble living room furniture. There are separate dressing rooms, a full galley, and an auxiliary power unit to run the air conditioning. On June 7, 1938, the DC-4E makes its maiden flight from Santa Monica. While the flight is successful, the subsequent testing program reveals a cascade of headaches. The plane flies, yes, but it is a monster of complexity. The electrical systems overload and hydraulics leak. The 4 Pratt & Whitney twin Hornet engines struggle to lift the weight despite massive horsepower. Most critically, to fix the technical issues, the weight balloons hitting 65,000 pounds. The DC-4E is an operational nightmare. It is a fuel hog with disappointing range and lackluster climb performance. Maintenance crews despise it. The airlines who had poured money into the dream look at the reality and balk. Pan and walks away. Western Air Express walks away. Finally, even United Airlines admits defeat. The aircraft is economically unviable. The DC-4E becomes a white elephant, huge, expensive, and useless. Douglas is in a bind, having sunk $3 million. To survive, they decide to scrap the design and start over creating the smaller, simpler, and highly successful DC for Skymaster. But what to do with the massive prototype sitting in the hangar? It is late 1939. Enter a delegation. Impeccably dressed visitors from Japan arrive, representing Dynip on Airways, ostensibly a civilian airline, but with deep ties to the government. The Japanese express a keen interest in the rejected giant. Their stated reason is plausible as the empire expands across Asia. They need a long-range heavy airliner to connect their vast territories. For the Douglas executives, this is a miracle. Although U.S.-Japan relations are deteriorating, this is a commercial transaction. The Japanese offer $950,000. Douglas agrees almost immediately. After all, American aviation experts have already deemed the plane a failure. What harm could selling it to Japan possibly do? What the Americans do not know is that Nippon Airways is a front. The check is effectively signed by the Imperial Japanese Navy. Why would the Navy buy a piece of American junk? Because their ambition far exceeds their capability. The Navy is obsessed with the concept of transoceanic bombing. They dream of a fleet of strategic bombers capable of launching from Japan to strike the U.S. West Coast or Hawaii. But while Japan excels at building agile fighters like the Zero, their experience with heavy four-engine bombers is non-existent. They lack the know-how for large load-bearing structures, heavy hydraulics and pressurization systems required for such giants. To them, the DC-4E is a treasure trove. It is a flying textbook ready to be deciphered by their eager engineers. Their plan is simple: by the plane fly it to Japan, tear it apart, study every rivet and then copy it. They believe that by swapping the underpowered American engines for superior Japanese ones, they can transform this failed airliner. The deal is struck. To maintain secrecy, the DC-4E is dismantled, crated, and loaded onto a freighter bound for Japan. As the ship leaves the West Coast, the aircraft officially vanishes. The American intelligence community closes the file. Upon its arrival in Japan in early 1940, the Japanese media releases a fabricated report claiming a crash in Tokyo Bay. The world believes the lie. The plane no longer exists. But inside a secret hangar at Nakajima, it is being subjected to an autopsy. Japanese engineers measure every component, analyze the metallurgy, and trace every wire with obsessive precision. Nakajima receives the order for the 13 attack bomber, a super bomber based on the DC-4E. This is the genesis of the G5N Shinzan. If you look at the blueprints, the resemblance is undeniable. Nakajima copies the wings, the tricycle gear, and the fuselage structure almost exactly. But to militarize the design, they make significant changes. The luxury cabin is gutted to make way for a massive bomb bay. It is capable of holding 4,000 kilograms of ordnance or 2 heavy torpedoes. The nose is redesigned, replacing the rounded passenger cockpit with a glazed bombardier station to spot targets. Power-operated turrets are installed on the dorsal spine and tail, with gun blisters added to the fuselage sides. This creates the first fatal problem, which is weight. The DC-4E was already rejected for being too heavy. Now the Japanese are adding tons of armor guns and heavy bomb-ready overweight airframe. To compensate, they pin their hopes on domestic engine technology to save the project. They discard the American Pratt & Whitney engines in favor of the Nakajima NK-7A Maomori. This 14-cylinder engine promises 1,870 horsepower, a significant upgrade on paper. The extra power should carry the extra weight theoretically, but engineering does not happen on paper. Back on that runway in April 1941, as the G5N struggles into the air, the reality crashes down. The Maomori engines are powerful, yes, but they are disastrously unreliable, overheating constantly. They vibrate so violently, they threaten to shake the airframe apart, and the handling is atrocious. The aerodynamic changes and weight redistribution turn the plane into a sluggish beast. Test pilots report that flying the G5N is physically exhausting and terrifyingly unpredictable. The final nail in the coffin is the range. The Navy demanded 3,000 nautical miles. Flight tests reveal that with a full bomb load, the G5N cannot even reach Midway, let alone Hawaii. As testing continues, failures mount. The landing gear struts crack under the increased load, and electrical systems become a nightmare. The Navy, which had planned a massive fleet of these bombers, slashes the order. Only 6 G5N prototypes are ever built. In a final humiliation, 4 of them undergo a downgrade. To solve overheating, they remove the powerful domestic Maomori engines. They replace them with the Mitsubishi Kasi, a reliable engine, but with less power. This castrates the aircraft. The irony is absolute. The aircraft was rejected in America for being a poor transport. Japan spent millions converting it. Only to find it so incompetent, they had to strip out the guns and bomb bays and convert it back into a transport. For the remainder of the war, these few G5N Shinzan aircraft are relegated to hauling cargo between the home islands. They are code-named Liz by Allied intelligence. They are hated by their crews, being maintenance hogs and unwanted stepchildren. When the war ends in 1945, American occupation forces inspect the airfields and stumble upon the rusting hulks. Technical intelligence officers are baffled by the familiar wing shape until they check the serial numbers on the frames. They realize with a shock that the crashed DC-4E had been hiding in plain sight. A post-war assessment delivers a cold verdict. The Japanese successfully copied the geometry of the DC-4E, but they failed to copy the engineering philosophy. They did not understand it failed because it was too complex. By adding more weight, they took a bad design and made it catastrophic. Douglas Aircraft learned from failure, simplifying the DC-4E into the reliable DC for the workhorse of Allied victory. Japan tried to take a shortcut across the technological gap, only to find themselves polishing a piece of scrap metal. The G5N Shinzan is a cautionary tale, proving that in the unforgiving world of aerospace engineering there are no shortcuts. You cannot cheat physics, and you cannot copy genius without understanding the struggle that created it. The only four-engine bomber Japan ever built stands as a monument to wasted effort, a steel leviathan that conquered nothing. It conquered nothing but the patience of the men who tried to fly it. All that remains are grainy photographs and technical reports, fading into history like mist over the Pacific, leaving behind a legacy of one of the most spectacular failures in aviation history. If you want more hardcore breakdowns of history, deadliest miscalculations, smash that like button and subscribe. I am your strategy observer. I will see you on the next battlefield.